85 tomorrow. Get up-to-the-minute weather updates from the Weatherology Weather Center. I'm staff meteorologist Paul Trombley on this NWKS radio station. Right now, 68.
You have 3 ex-wives and your current trophy wife wants a life insurance policy 3 times the size of the policies you had to purchase for your previous mistakes? If so, you need to call Big Lou at Term Provider, 800-230-2777. Big Lou is intimately familiar with your problems, and if you're 50 or 60 years old and in reasonably good health, a $1 million policy should only cost about $100 to $200 per month. Big Lou may have a solution for your previous policies as well. You may even save enough money to lighten the load on your new $1 million policy. Remember, call Big Lou. He's like you, except he's only on number 2. Call Term Provider at 800-230-2777. That's 800-230-2777 for $1 million in term life insurance that you can live with. Call Big Lou at 800-230-2777. 800-230-2777.
Your Cheyenne County Hospital in St. Francis is improving health through access to quality care. Whether you're looking for the primary care, prenatal care, wound care, physical therapy, or a cardiologist, contact your Cheyenne County Hospital. Learn about the new hyperbaric oxygen therapy program. It's a safe, effective method of delivering oxygen to the body at a cellular level. It boosts healing. Visit their Facebook page or CheyenneCountyHospital.com.
Keep your ride running at peak performance by scheduling an appointment with the Daves at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Hurl's has a full-service service department where they'll work on all makes and models, not just GM. They do tire repair and replacement. They'll make sure your AC is running at its best for these hot summer months. Plus, customers who bought a used vehicle from Hurl's get a lifetime warranty and reduced oil change prices. So get your appointment scheduled today by calling 785-890-0000. That's 890-0000 and ask for Dave. You're sure to get one of them.
It's time for the Logan County Fair, and the Farmers State Bank of Oakley is proud to be involved in many of the events. Look for us clerking the 4-H food and livestock auctions, operating a ride at the Home-Owned Carnival, and participating in the parade. Remember to support our local 4-H members by viewing their projects at the fairgrounds, and be sure to arrive early at the carnival each night to take advantage of discounted wristbands sponsored by the Farmers State Bank of Oakley, a tradition of community since 1907. Member FDIC.
Fraudsters are out to get your hard-earned money, but you can protect yourself by following 3 simple steps. 1, don't give your account number, card information, or online banking login credentials to anyone. 2, be cautious in responding to unexpected pop-up windows or text messages. And 3, watch your accounts. If you suspect that your bank information has been compromised, call your FNB Bank immediately. We are here to help you protect your hard-earned money. FNB Bank, member FDIC.
The Logan County Fair in Oakley runs July 22nd through the 27th. There'll be a lot of activities through the week, like 5 nights of the Home-Owned Carnival, beer tasting, and a concert the 26th. And then Saturday night, the 27th, over $15,000 in prize money given away at the Great Close Memorial Demolition Derby, including a lot of Mad Dog money. Jason Booker is going to be paying entry fee for the first 25 veterans and first 25 responders. The Logan County Fair in Oakley, July 22nd through the 27th. Come on, be there at the fair.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Rise and shine. It's butt whipping time.
It's time for the Morning Blitz with Ross Volkmer.
That broadcast school has really paid off.
And Christian Peck-Dimit.
Do you want to keep this job? Shut up, listen, learn.
The region's only local sports talk show, discussing it all from the preps to the pros.
What time is it? Game time.
Simulcasting on AM 730 Fox Sports Tri-State, streaming online at nwksradio.net and the Rockingham app.
They are everywhere.
The Blitz is presented by the Insurance Agency, the Farmers State Bank in Oakley, the Cowboy Corner Express, and Equity Bank of Hoxie, Quinter, and Grinnell.
Stop what you're doing and listen. the solo leader. Shane Lowry, 5 under par, 66 to open this Open at Royal Troon.
He's got 16 points a game, 10 of them coming here in the fourth quarter. Brown step back into that three.
Brown takes the lead on his own. He pours it in the middle. That was never missing. What a round from Brown.
Hey, good Thursday morning, everybody. Glad you're with us here on the Morning Blitz on Goodland's Rocket 102.5 AM 730 Fox Sports Tri-State, NWKSradio.net, and of course also live video streaming through the Hurl Chevrolet GMC video stream. Good morning to everybody out there here on this Friday morning. So glad that you could join us here today. Already been a pretty fun morning, talking in remembrance of Curtis Duncan over on KLOE and KKCI. His kind of a memory show, which was very fun to be a part of and to be a part of that. I even wore a Hawaiian shirt in honor of Curtis Duncan here on this Friday morning. But for the next 50 plus minutes, we will be talking sports here, and glad to have you with us no matter which way you are listening and or so watching. Christian, how's it going here on a Friday? You ready for the weekend, amigo?
I am ready for the weekend. It's going fine. I thought that show was really nice to hear, and especially as someone that maybe didn't know Curtis as well, certainly as you did, or as some of the other guys on that show, to hear all those stories was really something. And I wish I had gotten the memo on the brightly colored Curtis shirts, because I would have appreciated
I'm the
a nice
one. I'm the only one.
I could have joined in. That's all I'm saying. I've got a couple of those shirts.
Maybe we're gonna have to start wearing fun, funky shirts on Fridays.
It's Friday, so we got to do a fun Friday, anyways. Plus, you can double up and do an homage to Dunk. So I was unable to join because I was left out of the loop by Mr. Volkmer. But no, I thought the show was really good, and everyone really had very nice things to say, indicative of Curtis. And there's that old saying that if Curtis ran for mayor of Goodland, everyone would vote for him, even the mayor. And I think
even his opponent would vote for him. Yeah, that's
you see that now more than ever.
So true. Thanks to all the listeners that tuned in, all the responses on the text line. The FB Bank text line is open here for the Morning Blitz with your thoughts, your comments, your questions, whatever it may be. Hit us up on the FB Bank text line, 785-899-2222. Today we'll be getting ready for the second half. It's not really the second half, but the second part of the Major League Baseball season. Royals and Rockies start their second half of the year. We'll get to some thoughts and our thoughts on where they will be when it's all said and done. When we get to the end of September, early October. Denver Nuggets looks like they're going to be adding a all-star player, or at least a former all-star caliber player, to their roster, as Ross once again brought it up on the show a few weeks ago, and Chris said that, Christians, that's not going to happen.
No. I actually went, because you put in the Ross in the background of our document, put "I told you so" under the news that Brooke signed, and I actually thought, that's weird. I thought it was the other way around. So I went back.
I remember saying something along the lines. I thought I said something like, well, isn't Russell Westbrook going to go to the Nuggets? Like, no, that's not going to happen.
I went back and found the recording, and it was the dead opposite. You said they're losers of the weekend because they couldn't get Westbrook. And I said, no, they still might.
Oh, okay.
I'll play that recording for you. I almost sent it to you, but I know you had the show this morning.
Thank you so much. And we will also get into, I think, a very interesting statement that Nick Saban made at SEC Media Days. I think it was very fascinating to hear this, and I'll tell you why I find it fascinating. Some may not, but I find it funny. An update from Royal Troon. Round number 2 of the Open Championship is going on right now. Shane Lowry, the Irishman, leading the way at 6 under par. Not a surprise. He plays great in his homeland, or in the area of his homeland. But it's the story of Daniel Brown, ranked number 272, who led at the end of day number 1 with I think he was a 6 under par, 5 under par. He led the way, and now through 10 holes, he's still at 5 under par. It's an amazing story. A guy that no one has ever heard of, leading the Open Championship there at Royal Troon Golf Course. As Tiger Woods making his way up to the 18th hole, he's not going to make the cut. He is way over par, and so Tiger getting a standing ovation right now currently over on USA TV for the Open Championship. So
there's a number of guys that might not make the cut.
Big time guys, yeah.
Rory might not make the cut. Bryson DeChambeau might not make the cut. Tommy Fleetwood won't make the cut. Actually, him and Bryson are probably the closest out of the big name guys that still have a shot, mostly because they haven't played yet today, but certainly they've got some strokes to make up. And I think it was after the show ended. I think it was off the air. We've had some good discussions off the air that we probably should have had on recently, but I think yesterday we were saying there's 10 guys up near if you take the top 10 through almost day one had ended. If you take the top 10 on the leaderboard right now, you probably recognize 2 of those names, with all of these big name top 5, top 10 in the world guys struggling out of the gate. It does 2 things. I think one, if you're one of these no-name guys that really maybe doesn't have a PGA Tour win to your name or something like that, certainly you got to feel good right now. And if you're Scotty Scheffler, you seem to be the only big name guy other than maybe Xander Schauffele who's had any kind of success through the first day and change here. You've got to feel pretty darn good about your prospects heading into this weekend, because some of these guys haven't really been in these big moments in a major championship before.
Yeah, the Open Championship is the one major where you're looking at it and you're like, you don't know. You could play great the first day because you went out late and the weather was better than it was when you went out early the first day. And then the second day could turn around. You could have a great opening weather, but the weather at the afternoon's bad. I mean, right now the wind is howling there at Royal Troon. They were showing a jet trying to land there at the local airport. And, he's turned his nose into the wind. So he's kind of side skidding because he's trying to land that jet. So it's very, very windy. By the way, Tiger Woods is plus 14. Just get to the senior tour, Tiger. It's time to hang it up, buddy.
Give him a cart and he's going to crush these 60-year-olds. Come on.
But anyway, it's very windy. But Shane Lowry is through 16 holes really looking good because he's played in this wind. He's used to it growing up in these regions, and he's looking very good in round number 2. But and guys like you were mentioning, like I remember Justin Thomas was up near the top of the leaderboard. He led yesterday when we got off the air, but he's 2 over par today. So he's having a little bit more of a struggle here in day number 2. I want to get to our first topic of the day, and I thought this was interesting. I saw this. I was watching a little bit of SEC Media Days yesterday, and I saw this thing brought up on the Paul Feinbaum show where Nick Saban, who we talked about with Riley Gates yesterday about how impressive he's been on television, how good he's been. He's been great, and I'm not surprised he's been really good. But there was a quote that he had talking about the new college football playoff format, which is going to go to 12 teams here this next year. And the quote is, quote, "The downside of the new format is I just wish we could put the 12 best teams in the playoffs, not worry about conference champions and all that kind of stuff. If you do get beat in a conference championship game and you're one of the best teams, you should still get in there because you played really quality opponents and you played really good football. That's my only concern about it. I just want to see the 12 best teams in it. And I think most people want to see the 12 best teams in it." That quote there kind of scared me, because if you just want to put the 12 best teams in based upon a committee's thoughts and you're not going to use computers and all that stuff, and you're going to base it off of human knowledge and stuff, you might as well just call it the SEC Invitational with a couple of other schools. That's all you're going to see. That's my biggest concern with that quote right there. And I'll tell you why. Because already the SEC in the media and in the people who make decisions' minds are like, well, they're the best conference out there by far. And you can do that, by the way, by looking at strength of schedule. Has anybody gone and looked at strength of schedules in college football? Did you know that Arkansas has the 13th toughest strength of schedule in the SEC? Do you know where that ranks nationally? So once again, they're the
20th.
So 13th means out of like 16 teams, they've got like one of the easier schedules. You're right close, 21st. Oh my gosh! So think about people already are saying the SEC is this great league, and they're it's so hard to win there all the time. And I'm not saying that it's not, but you're automatically saying, well, if we're going to put the 12 best teams in there, we're going to allow the SEC 3-loss teams to eclipse maybe a Big 12 1-loss team, because they played a much more difficult schedule. That is
don't
why
think that'll happen.
No, it's not going to happen because of the parameters they've put in there. Talking about how if you're a conference champion, you're going to be in the college football playoff, and heck, if you're a Big 12 or an ACC champion, you're going to get a first round bye. But if they did it the way Nick Saban wants it to be done, that is what scares me, because I think you would see a lot of teams from the Big 12 and the SEC and probably a good number from the Big 10 not make it. And we would see, of the 12, I would bet we'd see 8 to 9 from the SEC. And it would just be the SEC Invitational.
I think that's hyperbole. I think that's hyperbole, and I think it is. I really don't think that that's ridiculous to say that we should get rid of these automatic bids, especially when you look ahead to a world here in college football in particular, but college sports in general, where you could have three major, being the Big 12, the Big 10, and the SEC, three major conferences, super conferences, and then that's it. That's your only sort of conference that's worth a darn in anything these days. If you still give the top 5 automatic bids, you're giving it to 2 teams from conferences that don't make any sense being there. In 3 years, you really want the Mountain West conference champ to be standing there, even though they're probably ranking 18th or something overall. And I know that that's looking ahead to a world where probably there are going to be 18 or 24, some ridiculously large number of teams that are allowed into the college football playoff. But I don't think it's a bad thing at all to say that you should just put the 12 best teams into the postseason. I think it's frankly a little bit ridiculous, and I think you're being hyperbolic saying that 8 or 9 SEC teams are going to make it. I think it really would work out if, let's say, this year the College Football Playoff Committee snaps their fingers and says, okay, this year we're going to change it. We're no longer doing the automatic bids. I think you'd end up with a 12 set of teams that's pretty darn close to the 12 that you were already going to have. I think the one team that you would lose would be possibly that 5th conference champ. Remember that there are 5 automatic bids given to the champions of the 5 highest ranked conference champions. So of course that's the Big 10, of course that's the SEC, of course that's the Big 12, maybe to a far lesser extent now, of course it's the ACC, but I think that is sort of on a tier below these other 3 at this point. And then there's that 5th conference. There's that 5th automatic bid that might not make sense being there, because this year you could have some random team in here you could have Utah State win the Mountain West and they're ranked 19th or something like that. And I think it makes a lot of sense not to have them in there. I think it really is not that bad to say, let's put the 12 best teams into the playoff and give them a chance to win it all. Isn't that what everyone wants at the end of the day, to the best team to stand alone and for you to give the best teams a shot to win it all?
Well, I'm just trying to go through this list here, and I'm gonna read you the top 12 teams of the AP top 25. And once again, this is just the AP, but I want to just go through this list of the teams that
preseason poll.
This is from the end of last season, so this is based off of last year. So yes, there's Michigan and Washington at the top. Those are your Big 10 teams. Texas, Georgia, Alabama. There's 3 SEC, and there's Oregon. There's 3. There's Florida State. There's an ACC team. Missouri, Ole Miss, Ohio State. There is SEC and Big 10 again. Then finally, the first and only Big 12 team that would make the cut would be Arizona at number 11 and LSU at 12. Like I'm saying, I am really talking from the perspective of which I'm not, but a Kansas State or a Kansas fan. I think that if that were the way that the playoffs were set up, you would be sick, because your chances of getting in are slim. You're not a part of the 2 big power conferences, and your chances of getting in are going to be really difficult, because in the eyes of many people, you're not playing anywhere near as tough a schedule as the SEC or the Big 10 is every single week. and that's going to hold you back from moving up in the rankings. Even if, because Texas has 2 losses, but they're still number 3, and Ole Miss and Missouri have 2 losses. They're still top 10. But that's my point. I think you would just see so much struggle. And you take away by, if you were to do this, once again, this is not happening, but I just think it's funny to visit about. If you take away the importance of a conference title, what are teams playing for then? Like, you have to have something else to play for besides saying, well, we want to make it to the national championship or to a college football playoff. Yes, that's the ultimate goal. You want to get to that point, but there's other levels to get there. No, we need to get to a bowl game. That'd be 6 wins. We need to play for a conference title. That'd be who knows how many wins. We'd like to win a conference title. And then if you were to do that, then that may put you in the college football playoff. By getting rid of, divisions and by all this stuff, you're making it a little bit, the conference, and by having 12 playoff spots, it makes the conference championship games not seem that important anymore, because heck, if you made the conference title game, you're probably both going to get in, particularly if you're an SEC or a Big Ten team. So that's my point. Not that we're doing this, but Nick Saban, to me, it would take away from a lot of the schools that are not SEC and Big Ten, where if you're Chris Kleiman or you're Lance Leiber, you're saying, hey, guys, we have a good team this year. And we're kind of in a new league. We're kind of now the top dogs after, we couldn't ever eclipse Texas or Oklahoma, but now we're kind of there in the top spot. And now we have a chance to go and win a conference title in K-State's extent again, and we have a chance to go to the college football playoff. That's exciting. Whereas if it was a Nick Saban's deal, hey, guys, let's try and win a conference title, but we may not make it into the playoff, even though we won our own conference and we're considered one of the top 4. That is what makes it a little scary. And I'm not saying that's what's happening. It's not what's happening this year. I'm not saying it's what's going to happen, but that's my thought. To me, it made it so that only the rich get even more richer and have a better chance of having more success.
So on the one hand, I understand exactly where you're coming from. On the other, I really couldn't disagree with you a whole lot more than I do right now. If you get rid of automatic bids for conference titles, what you ask the question, why play for a conference title? You play for a conference title for the same reason that every other team has played for a conference title for the last, 150 years of college football, because you want to win a conference title. Come on, we're both from division.
You be sick? You win your own conference and you're the Big 12 and you don't make the playoff? That seems kind of stupid.
I think most times that will happen, where you will make the playoffs after you win the Big 12, but you use the example, and I know you were using it to build your point, but it fits mine just as well, of last year not having very many Big 12 teams that would have made that 12-team cut. The Big 12 wasn't very good last year. Let's be frank. Let's be straight up. The Big 12 had a lot of parity, like it will again this year, but they all beat the tar out of each other, so you have a bunch of 3 and 4 loss Big 12 teams. It's just the way that it worked out. Who would you have put in? Was Kansas State great last year? Of course. Were they worthy of the Big 12 or of the college football playoff last year? No, they weren't. What other Big 12 team would you throw in there? Oklahoma? Maybe. That's really the only team I could see sliding in that wasn't already. I think it's a little bit ridiculous to put, I think you put the teams in there that deserve to be in there because you don't represent one conference or another as much as that conference's fans feel they should be represented.
How
I don't think that matters.
How do we know if it's a bad conference or a really good conference? Because they have 3 or 4 losses, that makes it a bad conference?
I think any college football fan can watch a game and pretty easily tell this team is on a different stratosphere or on a different level than the others. It's the way we've been doing it for years, ranking these teams. No, it's not perfect. If it was perfect, you'd make a 64-team college football March Madness type deal and have them all duke it out so you truly know who's the best. But you can't do that. You just can't. And so you're left with what you have right now, where 12 teams is still a lot. And I think 12 teams is enough that you could cause problems with having these extra games for these kids and get them injured and the whole deal. That's a different discussion. I think it's just as fine that really the only loss, you pose the question, when you get rid of automatic bids and you make this setup the way that Saban wants it, does anyone but the SEC benefit? I would pose the question, if you don't get rid of automatic bids, does anyone but the people that want money out of college football benefit? Because right now, and especially after we get a change more in the landscape on college conferences, that's what it's going to represent. Is we want the Big 12's money and we want them to feel like they're represented. We want the ACC's money and we want them to feel like they're represented and get that fan base watching the playoff. So what if you don't have a Big 12 team in there? So what if it was like it was last year where the Big 12 just wasn't good enough and you have one, maybe two teams there? So what? You still have the best teams in the conference in the country playing for the playoff.
You're a basketball guy, and I'm sure you love March Madness. Do you not like the Princetons and the teams like that made the runs to the Sweet 16, or whoever, St. Peter's, those teams that won their conference titles that wouldn't have gotten in anyway? Are you just real? Because to me, if you do it that way, and like, well, just the best teams get in, we would never see those storylines. We never see those type of games. You're telling me, and I know football is a much more difficult game to have that type of upset in, but there still could be a chance of that, and that's where I feel kind of sad about that. I want to see. I don't even care if you're a 4-loss Big 12 champion. I want to see what you can do. I want to see that. Even if it's whoever the best group of 5 team is, or if it's Liberty or Boise State or whatever, I want to see what you can do. I've seen Boise State beat Oklahoma in the Fiesta Bowl in one of the most epic football games I've ever watched. It was great. I want to see what you can do. What does a team that has nothing to lose go into the playoff against the biggest, baddest teams in the country? I want to see that. I don't care if they get beat by a ton or not. I want to see it.
I think you gave it away a little bit just in describing them as, going up against the biggest and the baddest teams in the country. You know that they're better than you. You know that you don't really deserve to be there. And let's start with the fact that I already hit that point, Ross. I made pretty clear, if we had it in a perfect world, we'd do it like a 64-team March Madness thing, but we can't do that. So we've got what we've got.
Need that.
That's what I'm saying. It'd be cool if we could. That would really determine what you can best do. But no, you're right. We can't do that. And hey, when you have 12 teams, you're still giving the best teams a shot at it. And I just don't think it's that bad to throw the top 12 in there and just make it like that. It's not so bad.
See, I think I could just see a year where you're only going to get one of the Power 4 or Bigger 4 conference, team like the Big 12 last year might have only gotten one team in. That would have been Texas in last year. But I just
so what?
But if, like I said, I could also see a year where there could be none of those teams getting in because they play, they're about the same. They're all equal. I mean, I think we could see a Big 12 champion this year with 3 losses. I think we could see one. This guy, all those teams are kind of equal, and I think we could see something like that possibly. And I don't know if that, and even if there's SEC teams with 3 losses, they're going to get the benefit over the 3-loss Big 12 team, guaranteed every single time. Same thing probably for the Big 10 as well. They're going to get the love. And so I feel bad for the Kansases and the Kansas States that I think have good football teams and I feel like if you are a part of this, if you're a Division I football team and you win your conference, I just have the belief that yes, you should be in and playing, and that's the way it is. But Nick,
then where do you draw the line? You said Division I. Where do you draw the line? What if the Mountain West or?
But I'm saying FBS Division I. That's if you're a Division I.
What about
FBS
the ACC?
School.
What if it happens that there's a 3-loss ACC team?
Did they win their conference champion? Yes,
the conference champ. But clearly, hey, they could be having this conversation in the middle of Clemson right now, where the ACC is not on the same level as these 3 other conferences. That's a fact. But maybe they're unwilling to see it. Maybe in the same way that we're unwilling to see that the Big 12 is not on the same level. Simple, period, end of story.
No, I'm not.
As the Big 10 and the SEC.
And Big 12 are probably not on the same level, but I don't think that should deter them from having a chance of.
So then where do you draw the line of conference champs getting in? Where do you draw the line?
I believe that conference champs should get in.
Which
the way it is right
champs?
Now, the major conference champions. So I like the way
major
they set up the SEC, the Big 12, the Big 10, and what am I missing here? ACC. The ACC, Big 10, Big 12, and SEC, I think all should get the guaranteed champion should be in. There's 4 spots there. I think there should be one of the other ones. So whether that's Oregon or Oregon State or whoever, or the Mountain West team or something, I want to see one of those teams get in. There's 5 spots. Now you have 7 spots to fill with other SEC teams more than likely, maybe another Big 10, maybe another Big 12. I don't know. But I just want to see a representative from that conference. That's all I want to see. I don't really care if they get blown out in the first game. They deserve to be there because they won their conference. I like the way it's set up now, and I have no problem with it. I just this all stems from the fact that Nick Saban believes that just the 12 best teams should get in. And if that's the case, then you'll just see the SEC title teams get in, plus 2 more, 3 more. The Big 10 title teams get in, plus 1 or 2 more. And then maybe you squeak in one other team from another conference, maybe. And that just to me doesn't seem real fair.
I think fairness shouldn't necessarily matter. I think you put the 12 best teams in, period. And I think when you get into the calling conferences major or wanting the X number of conferences in there, it ends up being arbitrary. When we see, because 2 years ago, if we were designing this thing, we'd say, well, we need 5 auto bids for the Power 5 plus 1 if you want to have a group of 5.
That's fine. That's great. Guess what? There's 6.
It's gonna, but do you get what I'm saying now? Because you flip so easily that it's arbitrary. The number of conferences that make it or which conferences make it can easily become arbitrary, especially because from 2 years ago to 2 years in the future, we're probably going to see 5 major power conferences worthy of making the playoffs go from 5 to 3.
I get it, and that's fine. And that's why I said it doesn't matter. They're still major conferences, and I still think that even if the Pac-12 went back to the way it was right now, I'd say that's an automatic bid from them. There's a representative from the West Coast, and I will take that for sure. Put them in the playoff, and then give me another group of 5-1, whether that's your Cincinnati, from many years ago. I don't care. Liberty, just put them in. There are 6, and then there are 6 other spots to put other teams in. The playoff field is big enough to allow other teams to get in, because you can't tell me that team number 12 or 11 that got in maybe from the Big Ten, the SEC, is going to actually have that best shot of winning a national championship. No, you're probably still going to see the top 2 or 3 teams make it to the championship and win it.
I mean, if that's your end all be all, then it doesn't really matter anyways, because if you're like, how would you feel if you're Kansas State and you don't win the conference championship, but you're ranked 11th, and a couple of teams get thrown in there over you that are ranked 19th and 21st, but they won their garbage conference, so here they are. Do you see what I'm saying? That it's arbitrary, the number of conferences and which conferences can get in.
No, I get that it's arbitrary, but I like the way that the playoff is set up now, and the way Nick Saban has it in his mind, I just think would not be all that great, particularly for your Big 12, your ACC, your other conferences. It would not be good for them. I just don't think they would get it. I don't think they would get a fair shake. And I'm not saying that everything in life has to be fair, but if you are a Division I FBS school in what is considered a bigger conference, a power type conference of this group of 4, whatever you want to call it, they deserve a fair shake of being in it. That's my opinion. If you're going to be in that, you need to have a chance to be in the playoff like it is now. But Nick Saban's idea, I think, is a little bit crazy. All right, let's get to break. We'll come back. We'll talk basketball. Christian can rub out my face that he was right about Russell Westbrook going to the Nuggets. That's next here on the Blitz.
When something happens to your kitchen, you might say,
"This is ludicrous."
But that won't fix your home. That will only get you the rapper, Ludacris.
Having trouble? Don't panic. Don't be alarmed. You need to file a claim? Holla at State Farm. Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
That's right. You can file a claim on the app or call us.
Thanks, Mr. Chris.
No matter how ludicrous the situation, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
State Farm, Bloomington, Illinois.
This is Kate Thompson with the Andersons Trade Group. Today is Friday, July 19th. And on the overnight last night, September corn traded higher 2.5 at 393 3/4. December up 3 1/4 at 408 1/4. March corn up 3 1/4 at 422, and May corn up 3 cents at 431. August beans up 6.5 on the overnights at 11.05. Into September up 6.5 at 11.47 November up 5 at 10.48, and January beans up 5 cents at 10.63. Chicago wheat September contract higher 8.5 at 5.43 December up 9 at 5.69. March up 8 3/4 at 5.89.5, and May up 8 cents at $6. Kansas City wheat, the September contract higher 6 3/4 at 5.69.5. December up 6 1/4 at 5.85 1/4. March up 6 at 5.98 1/4, and May up 5 1/4 at 6.04 3/4. On the stock market this morning, the Dow down $66 at 40,892. The S&P up 7 at 5,602. The Nasdaq up 31 at 19,931. Gold down $48.80 an ounce at 2,407, and crude oil down 18 cents a barrel at $82.64. If you have any questions about marketing grain or would like to talk about risk management options, give our Colorado office a call. John Hankey at 970-744-4484, or in our Kansas City office, myself, Tom Saludo, Jared Law, or Tyler Ghosh at 913-748-3000.
Introducing Certain Herbicide, the latest corn innovation from BASF. It brings powerful PPO residual chemistry into a pre through early post application thanks to novel solid encapsulation technology. Apply from pre-plant to V3 and get up to 8 weeks of residual control or suppression of 79 broadleaf and grass weed species. Don't chase weeds all through the season. Attack them before they emerge with Certain Herbicide from BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
Water hemp, Palmer amaranth, and giant ragweed. Left undisturbed, they will become the most dangerous foes to corn plants. But in the early season, these weeds are at their weakest. Now is the time. A predator lurks. Certain Herbicide attacks, unleashing full residual power before weeds have a chance to emerge. Pre or early post application, they are hopeless against such effective chemistry. Certain Herbicide from BASF. Always read and follow label directions.
Kansas Corn reminds you that E15 fuel is the right choice for every kind of driver. For the car enthusiast, E15 has higher octane. For the thrifty driver, E15 is priced lower than regular unleaded. For the nature lover, E15 provides cleaner air. For the shopper who buys local, E15 has more ethanol from our Kansas corn farms. Choose E15 for a higher octane, lower price, and cleaner American fuel. This message from the Kansas Corn Commission. Learn more at kscorn.com.
Midwest Energy is a cooperative, and capital credits are your share of the cooperative's net margins, or the money left over after expenses are paid. Capital credit checks are being mailed to customers in late July. If you receive a capital credit check this year, those are your share of margins earned in 2004. Check your July or August Midwest Energy bill for your annual capital credit statement. Midwest Energy, a customer-owned cooperative, making energy work for you.
Hey, it's Brian Haney, the voice of the Jayhawks, and you're listening to my main man, Ross Volkmer. He may be a Husker, but he also knows how to rock chalk. And you're listening to the Morning Blitz right here on 102.5 You Rock.
Another reminder, folks, that coming up here on Saturday, it is the 2024 four-person Booster Club Scramble for the Tech Tiger Athletics. We talked with Rory Kling about that on Wednesday. Registration, if you haven't done so already, is at 8 a.m. Mountain Time. Tee-off is at 9 a.m. at Sugar Hills. $350 for a team, but go and support newly rebranded Tech Tiger Athletics here on Saturday in Goodland. Christian gets to rub it in my face that he was right about Russell Westbrook. And once again, I should never, ever try and talk NBA with this guy because he knows everything and I know nothing. So, I mean, that's just the way it is. But Russell Westbrook is officially, after some wheeling and dealing that the NBA does, where they're going to cut a guy and or trade a guy, release him, play his contract. He's going to more than likely end up at the Denver Nuggets, where some people thought that he possibly could end up after he gets cut by or sign and trade with the Jazz and then buy him out and clears waivers, and the Nuggets will take him. What's your thoughts on this? I mean, Russell Westbrook is coming off a year that was not great. He only averaged 11 points. He played 22 minutes. He even had career lows and assists. I mean, he's definitely past his prime, but what can he bring to Denver here for the upcoming season?
He can bring exactly what he did last year, which was actually really good play. The numbers don't look as good because he was on a team with a bunch of scorers and dudes like Paul George and James Harden that had the ball in their hands a lot, and Kawhi Leonard as well. And for the majority of that season, remember, he was starting and playing solid, and there was some hoopla and, let's say, drama with the Clippers about that starting role and who was starting and who was coming off the bench. So Russell Westbrook personally went to Ty Lue alone and said, hey, I'll be willing to come off the bench so that X player can start above me. I know he's sort of pissed about having to come off the bench. I'll take that. I'll go off the bench. Let him start. And he played great off the bench. 11, 5, and 5 off the bench in 22 minutes is pretty darn incredible. Those are solid numbers, and he plays with great energy. I think he'll sort of do the same thing. Be that little bit of a six-man role. Him and Christian Brown coming off the bench together, I think would be a really cool combo to see. Both can still attack the rack. Obviously, one quite older than the other, but both can attack the rack. Both play with a lot of energy. Westbrook, it's been interesting as his career has sort of changed and he hasn't been the ball dominant triple-double monster that he was in OKC. You can change his game and become more of what he was maybe even back at UCLA, where he won SEC, was it SEC or Pac-12, obviously, Defensive Player of the Year. He's gotten much better as he's focused more on his defense. I think he can provide great energy off the bench for a team that, especially after Deron Holmes tore his Achilles, which is a huge loss, is in need of some high energetic and just in general bench play. I think obviously it's still not 100% that he clears waivers and goes and signs with them, but it's about 99 by all reports percentage wise. I think he's a great pickup for Denver.
Once again, you might have stated this, but I think this could be really big for them defensively.
Yeah.
Where they could probably use a little bit more help on the perimeter when it comes to defense. And I think he could, even though he may not be as great offensively as he was, or maybe, I don't know, I don't think he needs to be that kind of player in Denver. He doesn't need to be that because they have Jamal Murray and they have Jokic and they have Michael Porter Jr. They got guys that want to score the ball and are really good. I mean, if he can go and contribute those numbers with this Denver team and play really, really good defense and maybe give them a boost defensively and maybe a little bit better matchup on the perimeter defensively, maybe that helps push them into the finals this year. And if we were to just look at it from this year's perspective.
Yeah, that's actually the point that I just made, was that he, as his career has gone on and he's become less of a scorer, he's picked up that defense. And early in his career, he was a great defender, sort of got away from it when they leaned more on him for offense. He was the Pac-12 Defensive Player of the Year in college. He has always had that ability. He always has very quick hands and nuclear athleticism. When he focuses on that side of the ball, which I think Denver will ask him to, yeah, he can be great defender.
Once again, Russell Westbrook going to be heading to the Nuggets, hopefully, and for Denver. I mean, what would you give this a grade for the Nuggets?
As a move, you don't lose anything. I think it's an A-.
A-.
I mean, he doesn't help you with your shooting. He's never really been an elite level floor spacer, and that's unfortunate for a guard in today's game. Obviously, it mattered less when he was in his prime, but as the league has evolved, it matters a little bit more. So that's maybe the only thing keeping it from being an A+, but you lose absolutely nothing. You'll probably get him on a vet minimum deal, which is what you need to sign because you're hucking money at Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray probably in the next couple of months here. And of course, Nikola Jokic. He's probably not going to average maybe even 11 points, but the rebounds are going to be there. He's still one of the best rebounding guards in the NBA. The assists are going to be there. I think the steals are going to be there. And of course, the most important thing, his energy off the bench is going to be big.
Would you say, and once again, this is me and my NBA knowledge, but would this be similar to when Andre Iguodala went to the Warriors?
To be honest,
a really good player that went to a franchise that was pretty good, and he might have been on the backside of his career. Iguodala was, but he played really well.
As a kid that has a Russell Westbrook jersey sitting in the closet of my apartment, 5 minutes down the road, I'd love to say that. I don't think he's as good a defender as Andre Iguodala was when he was on the Warriors. And Iguodala ended up being a finals MVP with them. I don't think Westbrook has that left in his tank. But I do get the idea that a positive veteran presence, as much as he's gotten some stuff in the media for his on the court stuff, off the court, every single human being that has ever played basketball with this man, minus Kevin Durant, has nothing but positive things to say about him and his attitude with his teammates, especially on a team that wants to sort of push up these younger guys like Christian Brown. I think Westbrook can be a huge and a positive impact for them.
Let's get to a break. We'll come back. Second part of the Major League Baseball season gets going here, coming up a little bit later on tonight. We'll get to that next with the Rockies and Royals and what we expect in the second half next in the Blitz.
Your livelihood is important to you. You work hard to succeed in your farming operation, crop, livestock, home, vehicles, and special needs. We have you covered. Discounts are available for new business, remodeling, hail-resistive roofing, multi-policy, and many more. Optional coverage endorsements as well for machinery ingestion and equipment breakdown. Umbrella coverage for additional coverage on your home, farm, and auto. See the girls at the insurance agency at 1020 Main in Goodland or call 785-899-5011.
Summertime is here, and so are your local Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware stores with anything and almost everything you need for these warm days. Give your place a new look with Benjamin Moore paints. Keep your lawn looking its best with mowers, blowers, and trimmers from Craftsman, Toro, and Ego. And they still have that amazing selection of outdoor grills from Traeger and Weber, plus the popular flat-top Blackstone griddles. Find it all and much more at Hoover Lumber Ace Hardware with locations in Colby and Goodland, open every day but Sunday.
Join us for the Goodland Medical Foundation Slice of Life Golf Tournament on Saturday, August 24th at Sugar Hills Golf Club. It's not just a day of fun on the links, it's a chance to make a difference in our community. We're calling on businesses and individuals to sponsor this fantastic event. Your sponsorship will help fund essential healthcare projects that benefit the entire community. Don't miss out on this incredible opportunity to give back while enjoying a fantastic day of golf, prizes, and fun. For more details, visit goodlandregional.com or call 785-728-4160. Together, we can drive healthcare forward.
If you're shopping for a banking institution, visit with Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, and Quinter, Kansas. The Equity Bank is heavily invested in local business and activities contributing in many ways back to their community. Their employees are involved with many organizations and area events. Plus, a lot of experience comes with that staff. You'll find valuable local assistance when you bank at the Equity Bank of Hoxie, Grinnell, Quinter, and other locations in Western Kansas. The Equity Bank, member FDIC.
Keep your ride running at peak performance by scheduling an appointment with the Daves at Hurl Chevrolet GMC in Goodland, Kansas. Hurl's has a full-service service department where they'll work on all makes and models, not just GM. They do tire repair and replacement. They'll make sure your AC is running at its best for these hot summer months. Plus, customers who bought a used vehicle from Hurl's get a lifetime warranty and reduced oil change prices. So get your appointment scheduled today by calling 785-890-0000. That's 890-0000 and ask for Dave. You're sure to get one of them.
Hey, it's Brian Haney, the voice of the Jayhawks.
A two-hand follow jam is true for Josh Jackson.
And you're listening to the Morning Blitz with my main man, Ross Volkmer, right here on 102.5 You Rock.
So Christian is kind of a closet Mac fan because didn't you have a grandfather that played Mac football or something? Or
my grandfather won the Rose Bowl for Illinois, so close.
Oh, okay. I thought you liked Toledo though. Didn't you have someone who went to Toledo?
Yeah, my grandpa ended up living in Toledo.
Oh, okay. So that's
heading on down there. I watched a lot of Mud Hens games and ended up
What about Toledo Rocket football? Because they're finished second in the MAC preseason.
Oh, baby.
Second behind Miami of Ohio.
Come on, MACtion is great. How can you not love something?
How can you not like Tuesday and Wednesday night football in MACtion? I don't know how you don't love that.
That's what I'm saying.
It's great. Baseball, second part of the season. I want to say second half because really we're past halfway. But the second part of the season gets going today after the All-Star break. And you have the Royals at home. Both the Royals and the Rockies are home to get the second half going. The Royals will be at home hosting the White Sox. Great start, hopefully, for them. The White Sox are one of the worst teams, if not the worst team in Major League Baseball, just 27 measly wins. With 27 measly wins, but they're home to open up. They're 7 games back in the AL Central. but still right in the thick of things in the wild card in the American League. The Rockies, on the other hand, are way out of things. They're 22 games back in the NL West. They're 24-63. I mean, I think we can pretty much put to bed that the Rockies are done this year. I just don't see them anyway climbing out of this hole or even getting close to it. The Royals, though, will be something to watch in the second half of this season because they're right there in the thick of things in the wild card. I think they still have a chance to make a run in the Central because that division I still think is pretty open with a kind of a 3 to 4 team race there. So I think it's going to be an exciting second half for the Royals, although I am a little concerned after they kind of wobbled down the stretch towards the All-Star game. And I'm curious, two things. Does that continue after the All-Star game or do they pick back up? And does Bobby Witt Jr. continue on the pace he is after hitting in the home run derby? I really am fascinated with that.
Yeah, the whole Aaron Judge thing last year and, just in general, that whole sort of, superstition, I guess, around messing up your swing at the home run derby. Hopefully it won't apply to Bobby Witt. I'll be interested to see how Hunter Harvey, that Nats reliever that they grabbed, fits into this lineup that seemingly is in need of more relievers. So I hope that he can sort of slide in there. I'm interested to see also just the start of this quotations here, second half of your season. If you're KC, you go White Sox, Diamondbacks, and then Cubs, Sox, Tigers. Sadly, as a Tigers fan, I do have to loop them into that subpar team category. This is
the Diamondbacks in the subpar department?
No, I'm saying most of the teams, the next 12 to 15 games, you can win 3 or 4 series pretty easily. The Diamondbacks aren't one of them, but I think you got a shot to win the Cubs series, 2 different White Sox series that you can probably win 5 of those 6 games, a 4-game series. Granted, it's in Detroit, and Detroit played a little bit better heading into the All-Star break, winners of 8 of their last 10. But outside of that, I mean, even with 8 of their last 10, they're still like 5 games or 7 games below 500, and certainly far from the wild card race. I think you have a chance to start on the right foot here, which is big for a Royals squad that obviously limped heavy into the All-Star break and just did not look great over the last month or so. Is the All-Star break a chance for them to catch their breath and now get off to the second half of their season on the right foot?
This is according to Brooks Gate, at Brooks_Gate on Twitter. They're talking about the hardest schedule and the easiest schedules remaining in Major League Baseball. The Royals have the 18th hardest 18th hardest schedule. So they're kind of on the easier side of things. So you get, that's pretty good. Now they're not the Giants or the Cubs or the Braves or the Yankees who have the easiest schedules remaining. But they're not also the Red Sox, Rays, Guardians, and Rockies who have the top 4 hardest schedules remaining. Things just don't.
Why give them that?
It's just the way it worked out. It's just the
insult and injury and all that.
But anyway, second half of the season underway. Once again, White Sox and Royals tonight from the K, 7:10 Central Time on AM 790 KXXX. Rockies at Coors Field hosting the Giants tonight. That is set for a 6:40 Mountain Time first pitch there from beautiful Coors Field.
A 3-run walk-off home run, a game-winning walk-off with a walk-off.
His second walk-off hit of the season.
In walk-off fashion, that baby's gone.
Can somebody explain to me how a guy who is barely averaging not even double-digit points per game in Summer League ball is considered the Rookie of the Year candidate? I couldn't believe when I read that Bronny is now considered the favorite, odds-on favorite to become the Rookie of the Year. He's a popular betting pick for Rookie of the Year, Bronny James is. This is a guy who hasn't had more than 13 points in a game in a Summer League deal against other rookies. Are you kidding me? What is going on here?
If you want a logical answer, I would tell you, well, it's simple. This rookie draft class kind of stinks. But if you want the...
But Dalton Connect had 20 last night against in a rookie game. Why is he not getting more love? Why?
He is getting more love. He's not the odds-on favorite. That's the key here, is that he's just getting a lot of love, amount of betting. People just love to throw money at Bronny James.
They love to throw money in the garbage, what they love to do.
That's exactly what they do. It was like people betting on Justin Fields MVP prior to last year's NFL season, which always made me laugh. Same sort of thing here. He actually doesn't have great odds. It's just he's getting a huge majority of the actual money. He's a very popular.
Zach Edey is actually the consensus betting favorite at sportsbooks for Rookie of the Year. But
turned his ankle last night.
Bronny James, give me a break, people. Give me a break.
I don't think he's going to be a bad pro. I think he came out a year, maybe 2 years, probably 1 year early. But he's got the tools. I think he'll be solid. He'll be some bench warmer somewhere. He can be a solid pro. I still believe that. But no, he's not going to be Rookie of the Year.
See you on Monday here on the Blitz.
This is Rockin'.